Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Bad Times Good Stories podcast. My name is Joe Flanders, and I am coming at you from my living room, where I'm watching some football, watching my hometown Ohio State Buckeyes in a close game with Indiana. Totally forgot to record the intro in the professional manner that we normally do. So here you go. I hope you're having a good week. Today on the show is Josh Edelman, who is somebody I met at the summer camp that I've taught at the last 4 summers. He taught there the first summer that I was there, and just a great guy, really funny. He's a comedian and a magician and a documentary filmmaker. He kind of does a little bit of everything, and he does it well. And we are talking about a time when he found it important to convince his boss that he indeed was too sick to come into work thanks to food poisoning, and the way that he proved that was coming into work to show his boss that he looked like death, which he did, and then when he was granted the day off, he shit his pants thanks to the food poisoning, and hilarity ensues. Not for Josh that day, but for me listening, and hopefully for you too. And it was very impressive, the lengths that he would go to prove that he was not just phoning it in and indeed needed a sick day. We also talk about a time where I totally misread a sign or many signs from a girl that I'd had a one-night stand with, who I thought it would turn into something more. She did not feel that way, and it ended with me bringing her a chair. And honestly, the face she made when she saw me still haunts me sometimes. So that's a fun story. Again, hopefully hilarious for you. It was not so much for me at the time. If you enjoyed today's episode and any other episode, write us that 5-star review on iTunes. You don't have to write it. You can just click it on the Apple Podcast app. Scroll down past the episodes. Just click 5 stars. A big shout out to Lou Bengal, who wrote, "This podcast is awesome. The guests are funny as hell. The stories are always super compelling." Thank you, Lou Bengal. It's really nice to hear that. And again, when you write reviews like that, it just helps us book guests and get sponsors and continue to grow the show. So if you could do that, that would be greatly appreciated. You can also check out badtimesgoodstoriespod.com for merch and past episodes, and to support the show on Patreon. I'll write you handwritten thank you letters. I'll send you personalized thank you cards, and all in the name of supporting this show. So check all that out at badtimesgoodstoriespod.com. And if you have a story you want to hear on the air, email me at badtimesgoodstoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you're listening to this and you'd like to watch it, go to my YouTube page, youtube.com/thejoeflanders, and you can watch episodes there. That's all I've got to say, so without further ado, here's my conversation with Josh Edelman. You were nice enough to come to my birthday, 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but since then, I don't think I've seen you.
Was it 2 years ago? No, I think it had to be last.
No, last year I just did, well, my birthday's in August, so it was 6 weeks ago or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
So it would have been
2 birthdays ago.
2 birthdays ago,
but not 2 years ago.
No, I always get tripped up by that. Yeah, technically it's been 1 year and 6 weeks.
2 years.
No.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
Happy belated.
Yeah, well, because this was the first year I hadn't done it at a bar in a long time. Because I actually rapped at SoCappa. I worked there. I've done 4 summers there.
This summer, I didn't.
Yeah, it's.
Are you in charge yet?
No. 4 summers in a row.
I could have totally done SoCappa this summer.
Yeah,
should have been there.
Yeah, I'll make sure you have his email next summer, or even in the winter, and just be, hey, probably want to do it.
Did they do a winter thing?
No, but just so he has a heads up of because I don't know how many people they want to bring back and. But anyway,
34-year-old camp counselor.
I'll be a 32-year-old camp counselor.
How you doing, kids?
Yeah.
Oh, tubular short film. Cowabunga.
The thing the kids were saying the kids were saying Gucci this summer.
Oh, I'm gonna kill myself
if
I do it again.
Yeah.
Every summer, I'm starting to learn like how much more irrelevant I've become.
Oh yeah, I mean, I felt like such an old man. Just like the few times that I had to drive the van.
Oh my god,
the music.
Talk about bad time, good story. The summer I was working at SoCap, they had me drive the van to take everyone down to the 3rd Street Promenade.
Okay.
I'm like driving the van and like can't find parking for these fucking things because for some reason they don't set up parking ahead of time for our vans, and like I get waved into this garage and I'm like, all right, going into the garage, and then I'm just like slowly realizing that the van is like 1 inch from like the roof, and the kids are just screaming in the thing, and I'm like pretending like I'm not terrified, but I'm like terrified that I'm just gonna get wedged in the van. And like every time we'd go under one of those hanging like metal things, it would like you'd hear it scraping along the top of the van.
Oh my God.
later in the summer, they were like, we've had a little bit of damage to the van. I'm like, that was definitely me. And they're just, I don't know how they figured out the top got all fucked up. But
how did you get out?
Well, it was like, they were like loose. They were like loose metal things that were like hanging. But
okay.
like every time you'd hear,
yeah.
And the kids would be like, ah!
Similarly, I drove the van to LAX to pick up kids. And we were picking up foreign kids who'd never been to the U.S. before. So we got them into the van. This was the first like day of real work too at the camp for me. And we got them in the van, and then we pulled off, and then I just like sideswiped a taxi, and the passenger side mirror came off. And again, never been to the U.S. Their first words they hear from me, besides maybe a hello, is motherfucking shit. And then we had to deal with like insurance for like an hour. There was some woman who was never there again at camp, who was like the mastermind organizer of picking up children or something. And thankfully she was with me and she was able to handle everything, but she was none too happy with me. And then I was reprimanded that night for swearing in front of the children. And then I said, well, that's true. I could have chosen other words. However, I had just sideswiped a taxi. Given the context, perhaps we could let this slide. And they obviously let it slide. But that was probably the worst day of a job, the first day of a job that I've ever had.
That really does top mine. But I will say that like give the one difference that I do feel I have slightly on my advantage is that yours was like an instant of terror. Mine was like building suspense.
Yes, that's true.
Mine was like these kids all holding on to each other and me being like, relax, we're gonna be fine. Gonna be fine. Running. I just was so ready just to pull into the thing where we're wedged.
Yeah.
And like I'm just driving and you hear the wheels turning, but there's no getting out. All right, everyone out of the van. We're pushing the van.
Yep. We all just turn into Chevy Chase in the vacation movies. You know? We're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be fine.
We're going to Universal.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to South Street.
It does. Every summer, I'm just shocked by the fact that there is no license or qualification necessary to drive essentially a tank full of 15 children.
Not wearing their seatbelt.
Yeah. I was driving back from Santa Monica this summer, and it was like 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. And I'm just sitting there just driving, just like I feel like I'm just in a pinball game, and I'm just bouncing around, and I just have to avoid just hitting anyone. And it was terrifying. There's too much pressure here. Not to mention, you throw in the fact that no one likes instruments or real human voices in music anymore, which was just, it was a slow death all summer. And like, I know, everybody thinks that the music 10 years, past when they really care about music is awful.
But we're right this time.
But I mean,
we're
it's
right
just
this time. The music.
You can genuinely make the argument that there is no talent required to sing now because everything is auto-tuned.
Well, I think to be fair, I think every former generation is correct.
Sure.
It's like we have like Mozart, and then like jazz comes along, and they're like, this jazz, and it's like still very talented, but it's not Mozart, and then the jazz becomes rock and roll, and they're like, this is rock and roll music, and it's like, again, it's just a slow.
That's true, I guess. How could it get worse? Which is also something everybody's asked, I'm sure, over the course of musical history. However, I genuinely want to know.
We'll find a way.
I guess so.
Give us time.
And I know
Renaissance paintings have become a picture of Campbell's soup.
Yeah. I know that there are talented musicians and stuff, but it's just like this, like when I heard that Beyonce Jay-Z song, and I'm like, this is terrible because she has such an amazing voice. Whether you like love her type of music or not, you can always acknowledge like, oh, that's a talented person. Mm-hmm. And she's just buttering the whole song. And then well, that's my old man rant. But I feel as though it's justified.
We are a couple of just old men, and now I always say young person bodies, but I don't know if we count as young people anymore.
Yeah,
what point do we stop? I don't know how many times I've even said in my life, like this year, when I grow up. Yeah, when I grow up, or that's where our brains are at. Nothing freaks me out more than seeing how in shape Marlon Brando was at my age.
Sure. Yeah.
Just to know that like whatever this is right now can only get worse if I don't take care of it.
Yes.
That no amount of being in perfect shape now means I'm going to maintain.
Well, for me, much less Marlon Brando, just like random men that I see on the street that seem to be my age and aren't even particularly good looking, but they're just like, oh man, he's taking care of himself.
We're in Los Angeles.
That's true. We aren't doing ourselves any favors.
It's a big, fake thing.
Yeah, a bunch of good looking people.
No, people don't look like that.
No, they don't. Not in the rest of the world. I'm going to close these cabinets.
I love the Halloween decorations. Getting it all going for October.
Spooky.
Add some character.
Yeah, a little ambiance. Speaking of people that I'm envious of, there was a guy I saw on Facebook who I went to high school with, who in high school, I kind of hung out with him to feel better about myself, which is kind of shitty, I guess. I don't know if you've ever done that. I feel like I've been the person that others have hung out with to feel better about themselves before.
Well, I've always said that everyone I hang out with to feel better about myself. Because, like, I've always said I hate being alone because I hate dealing with myself. I'd rather other people dealt with me.
Yeah.
That's like my...
Okay, I guess I could see that. You feel better. I guess I mean...
But I guess you mean like you thought this guy... he made you feel better about himself because he was so cool?
No, he was a schlub.
He was like a disaster. Yeah. And you're like, I'm doing great.
Exactly. I would, we'd hang out and I'd just think in the back of my mind, like, yeah.
But now you're envious of him?
Well, yes, because now he has lost a bunch of weight and is like vice president of a company in Ohio. And
you're like, I don't want to fucking hang out with you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Way to really turn everything, or way to really throw me into existential crisis. I'm like, I'll always have this guy to compare myself to. Exactly. And now he's killing it.
Yes. And again, to be clear, I know that I've been that person for others, so I feel like it all goes round. But, it's one of the many reasons why Facebook is just a disaster.
So it's not a long story, but it's probably the number one most embarrassed I've ever felt in a single moment in my life.
Okay.
I was like dating this girl off and on for like 2 years. Yeah. And we had like our real like final breakup, and it was like bad. And I was like, I don't ever want to talk to you again. And like we kind of went our separate ways.
So sorry, but you said final breakup. So did you have like almost breakups?
We would like break up and be like, we're done, and then be like banging 2 days later. Sure. And we're like, this is not real. It's not real. But this last one, she's like, all right, I'm dating someone new, and I'm just like, oh, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Probably immature.
Yeah.
We friendly-ish now, I guess.
Yeah, it's an ish. I get it. Yeah, as much as you can be.
As much as you can be.
Sure,
that's fine. There's only a few hard feelings.
How far or how long ago was this?
This is like 8 years ago, maybe even around 8 or 9 years ago.
Once you get close to that decade mark, I feel as though it's very unhealthy to have strong hatred towards anybody.
No, I don't have any,
and I know you
any
don't,
hatred.
but it's good that you. Yeah.
But
anyway, okay. So
but
it's
at
the final
time,
breakup.
At the time,
Yes.
we were broken up.
Yeah.
Like smartphones were like kind of new.
Sure.
I don't even think there was like a Facebook app yet.
Right.
I was just like, doing the thing you do and when you've broken up with a person where you just stalk them relentlessly on Facebook to make yourself feel better.
Right. Yeah. Like, what are you hoping for? Like, what is the ideal thing on her page that's going to be like, yeah, I feel better about myself?
Nothing. There's absolutely nothing. But so I'm out. I'm out. I'm not by my computer. I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
I just have a moment of like, let me see what the ex is doing right now. I go on my phone. I like go to search her name. Something happens like while I'm searching where I get distracted and I like put my phone away.
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
Okay.
3 hours goes by. I go home.
Yeah.
I log on to Facebook and realize that instead of putting her name into the search bar, I had put her name into the status bar and posted it. And for 3 hours, my status was just her name. It was literally the worst moment of my life. I felt like I came to a crossroads where there were two decisions.
Yes.
Kill yourself or just pretend like it never happened.
Right. Yes.
Just continue on with like, just accept it.
Yes.
Well, you did that.
Yeah.
That's your life right now.
Right.
Move on. Nobody, it's funny because like I had like a ton of comments and likes. And,
I was going to ask what the reaction was.
But I was so mortified. I never even looked at any of them. I just immediately deleted it, slammed my head in a pillow and screamed.
Oh my God. I was going to ask what the reaction was. Yeah.
And then I was just like, well, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, it's not like it changed anything. It's not like until I did that, she was like, I'm going to get back with Josh.
Right. Right.
It's not even like it really hurt my odds of us getting back together, which didn't happen anyway.
Sure.
It just...
Did you ever talk about this with her?
No.
Have you talked to her since?
I don't even know. I mean, 100% she saw it, but I don't even know if she saw it.
Well, that's the thing, because then I don't know. I mean, it's not like now when you type in the name and it tags the person. I don't think that was the case then.
It wasn't
so
the
there's
case
a chance. However unlikely, it's pretty unlikely she didn't see it. Yeah, that's because even if she didn't see it, then I'm sure you have mutual friends. And they're like, hey, what's this vague, ambiguous status? You just said your name.
An absolute disaster of a moment in my life. It really.
Oh, really, man.
And if you go on Facebook now in your web browser and not the app, you will see that still the search bar and the status bar are very confusing.
That's true. I've never even thought about that. Yeah. Wow. The only thing that I can relate to that, and it wasn't public, so it was different, but it also had a much more immediate impact on me, was in college. I was at a party and I hit it off with this girl and she gave me her number. For whatever reason, we didn't go home together. I think it was the classic, like, oh, my roommate's vomiting, I have to go take care of her or whatever. I saw that happen, so I know that it did happen. It wasn't just like, I sense that my roommate I have to leave now. So we exchanged numbers, and I think I said, like, maybe I'll hit you up, or let me know how things went or whatever. Tried to establish that perhaps later in the evening we could get back to business. My roommate had just gotten a new number and I hadn't put it in my phone. So I didn't put her name in my phone either. She just texted I just had the number without the name. So, some time passes. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play it cool. So I start texting this girl. We were texting back and forth, and it's like, so how's it going? Thinking you might want some company. She's like, sure. Okay, maybe I could get a ride back. I can't. We were texting for like an hour and a half, and I was playing it cool, waiting like 20 minutes to respond and all this stuff. Finally, one of the last texts was like, okay, I'll be ready in 15 minutes or something, is what I said. And then who I thought to be she said KK. And I was like, cool. And then a few more texts go, and then I realize I'm actually texting with my male roommate this whole time, who was at our house and was deciding whether or not he wanted to drop by the party. And so I never talked to that girl again. And I was all like, it was like set for sex that night based on our ambiguous text conversation. And then I realized it was him. And I'm like, what man says KK? I've never met another man who says KK.
I say KK.
Ugh. You should stop it now.
I like the KK.
I can't do it.
Cool, Kewl.
Oh, you do that one, huh? Mm-hmm. It was one of the most disappointing nights of my life.
My favorite thing about texting is purposefully misspelling words. And I feel like I'm in a war with my phone trying to correct my spellings. And I'm like, no, I want these all to be wrong. One of the worst that always autocorrects is I like to spell work, W-E-R-K, but I'll be like, you workin', W-E-R-K-N, and it'll go to you jerkin'.
Wow.
Happens all the time.
Wow. Your phone's a little, I mean, it makes sense. It's similar.
Yeah. That's the number one. I actually had this is also a good like autocorrect thing.
Yeah.
So I used to work at this magic store in New York City. You know, I used to be a magician.
Yeah.
You don't stop being a magician.
Right.
I just don't.
You're
do
always
it
a magician
professionally anymore.
Yes.
But I worked at this magic store, and I was like the top selling magician at the store.
Nice.
But I was very lazy and like not proactive and had a bad attitude about being there. And my boss one day decides, well, I'm going to hire a manager for the magic department. Okay. And he hires this guy to be in charge of me.
Yeah.
And I just was not having it.
Yeah.
I was just like, he was like really trying to assert himself. And I was just like not treating him seriously at all. And he fucking hated me.
Sure.
Hated me.
Yes.
He tried to fire me.
Yes.
He did fire me, and then the owner of the store called me back. He was like, "You're not fired." But the owner of the store also did not like me.
But you were the top
salesman. I was
salesman.
just like a really good salesperson. So he's like, you guys need to get along, and they like had this whole long conversation with us because we got into like this huge argument, me and the manager.
About what?
About him firing me and
sure.
like how like I didn't give a shit anything he was telling me and I was going to continue doing things my way. And like, I'm like, you can manage everything else, but I just come when I come, I do my stuff and I leave.
Yeah.
So like the owner sits us down. I was a real piece of shit, but so was he. He was a real jerk. And he also pulled this huge con on the owner of the store.
Okay.
Where, like when he first started working there, he had all his like magic buddies like show up to like buy tricks. So he looked like he was like this great salesperson, but very quickly the owner realized that like his super huge numbers at the very beginning had just
Trickled
like
down,
completely disappeared.
Yeah.
But so we have this whole long like meeting where like we're like trying to get along and like we have, we like shake, we make up, I leave. I have to send the guy a text for something.
Okay.
So I send him a text real quick.
Yeah.
And then I look back and I don't remember what word I was trying to use, but it just said, "Hey, homo." And, like right after the meeting. And I'm just like,
Were you trying to say homie? I don't know.
I have no idea, but it just auto-corrected to "Hey, homo." I don't even know why it would auto-correct to that, but I just was like, "Hey, man, very sorry about that. That was an autocorrect mistake. Please believe me, not trying to have trouble right after our long sit down, like
talks.
hug it out session." Immediately, "Hey, homo. You like that I'm still working at the store even though you tried to fire me?" Eventually, I didn't get exactly fired from there.
Yeah.
But eventually, very interestingly, they hired this other guy who was really not a great magician at all.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a great magician, but I was just way better than this guy. But he was just like this savant salesperson who just started crushing me in the numbers. And I figured out why. I think I figured out why.
Why?
So,
did he give a shit?
no, well, yes. That was part of it.
Give
But
a
the
one up.
other thing was, like, I was pretty good and I was entertaining
Right.
and, like, people really liked me.
Yeah.
But because I was good, I feel like a lot of people would like watch me do things and be like, I'll never be able to do that.
Yeah.
And this guy was like so not that good
Right.
that he would do things. People would be like, oh,
I could do
this
that.
guy could do this.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Right.
And he would just sell one trick.
Right.
He just sold one trick, but he just sold the shit out of it.
Right.
And, and he eventually like started like taking my hours, and I was like getting out of working at the store at that point
Sure.
anyway.
Yeah.
But one other thing I used to do at that magic store was it was like a costume and magic store, and I wanted nothing to do with the costumes thing.
Yeah.
So whenever my boss would ask me to do anything to like help there on that side, I would like purposely be incompetent at it so that he wouldn't ask me again. He'd be like, Josh, could you take those boxes downstairs? And I'd like lift the boxes, and he'd turn around and I'd just like drop them all. And he'd be like, Josh, what the hell are you doing? Just go over to the magic, man. Just leave it alone. I got it.
It's so funny how like all of us have certain, whether it's like a group of friends or like a place where we have this like arrogant swagger where it's like you feel like the Fonz when you're at a magic shop. You're like, yeah, listen, new guy, I'm kind of the king of the castle here. But then in any other, in most other places, you might be like awkward or embarrassed. Like it's just so funny. We have like our spots where we're a completely different person and sort of have like this whole, I don't know, I just think about when I hang out with different groups of people, I can be the quietest person in the room or the most obnoxious and loud. Like it's just a total crapshoot, I guess.
Absolutely. But
I don't know.
Actually, this is a good lead-in for what was I wouldn't say necessarily the most embarrassing story.
Yeah.
Because but probably my best bad time good story is before I worked at the magic shop.
Okay.
I was working at this film company, Troma.
Oh, okay.
I was Lloyd Kaufman's personal assistant for a year.
Yeah.
Which I love Lloyd. And it was an amazing experience of living in New York and being paid $8 an hour. And hey, at least I was getting paid. Half the people that worked at Troma just did it.
I was going to say, yeah.
But I was a terrible assistant.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell by my attitude at the magic store, I thought I was a great assistant.
Yeah.
I like had this attitude in my mind, like, Lloyd's so lucky to have me. But Lloyd like just hated me. Yeah. I was bad. You're a bad assistant if the people doing business with you like you and your boss doesn't.
Yes.
Like I feel like I've learned that part of being an assistant is being the person people doing business with you don't like.
Right.
So that they can like Lloyd.
Yes.
Or like your boss.
Right.
I don't know, I was just a spoiled kid who was raised to like not work hard,
Sure.
but like very good at things,
right?
But like always rested on my laurels.
Right. No, I
to
can.
this point, I've learned. I've since gotten better.
We're on very similar. We were on a very similar trajectory. That happened to me too. Was this like shortly after college?
This is like my first job.
So you're like, of course I got this job.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't I have? Yeah. No ground. No humbling yet.
But Lloyd was always yelling at me.
Yeah.
And one thing Lloyd used to do when people would call in sick is he'd always say, probably just faking it because they don't want to come into work today.
Yeah.
He'd always say that. And I never called in sick for work. And I'm like 8 months into the job. I've never called in sick.
That's impressive.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
And I wake up one morning with just horrible food poisoning.
Yeah.
Now, first, let me just set the scene of like what my just living situation was at the time.
Sure.
I was living in a $1,300 a month apartment in attic. In an attic apartment in Union Square. My room had no door, no windows, no air conditioning.
Was this even a sanctioned room?
And the ceiling was, no, definitely not. And the ceiling was so low, I couldn't stand up in my room.
Oh, God.
I had to be at work every morning at like 8 a.m.
Sure.
And I would just wake up in the same level of darkness that I went to sleep in every night. I had like no concept of time. And I would just be in the summer, it was like sweltering in there. This was the winter. Fortunately, So when I started working at Troma, they had this like really famous building in the middle of Hell's Kitchen that was like the Troma building that had a big Toxic Avenger mural on the side, and people would come and do tours. But over the course of working there, they sold that building for like millions of dollars and moved the office to fucking Long Island City, Queens, where I would have to take 2 trains and walk 20 blocks to get to the office every day.
So you were leaving at what, like 6?
So I would wake up at like 6 a.m. every morning to get to work.
Yeah.
So it's the dead of winter. It's the dead of winter. I wake up with like horrible food poisoning. I'm just shitting and puking all morning.
Yeah.
And I should just call in and be like, Lloyd, I can't come in today. I'm dying.
Sure.
But I'm just like, if I call in sick, Lloyd's going to think I'm fucking faking it. You need to just go in there and show your face for 1 minute, and Lloyd's going to see how awful you look and send you home.
Yeah.
So with my horrible food poisoning, I get out of bed. I walk to the train. I ride 2 subways to Long Island City, Queens, walk 20 blocks in the snow. I get off the train and like one of my coworkers sees me. He's like, Jesus, Josh, what are you doing here? I'm like, Lloyd, he just needs to see me so he can send me home and know that I'm not faking it.
Right.
I was so fucked in the head, this job. I walk 20 blocks to get to the office. I walk upstairs. Lloyd sees me and he's immediately like, Jesus Christ, Josh, you look awful. Go home. Just call in if you're sick. What are you doing? And I'm like, thank you, Lloyd. I walk downstairs, immediately shit my pants. I didn't even have like a warning that I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I just get downstairs and it just... I turn around, I look at the building and I go, nope. No one in there can ever know this happened.
No.
So with my pants full of food poisoning shit, which I believe I got from this place across the street called Palace Fried Chicken.
Okay.
Not to call them out, but it was.
But
them.
also,
that's
it was
where
them.
I ate the day before.
They're probably the guilty culprit. Yeah.
But ironically, Long Island City, Queens kind of felt like Tromaville. There was literally a power plant right in front of the building maybe that's what gave me the food poisoning. Yeah. But with my pants full of shit, I walk 20 blocks back to the train.
Yeah.
I get on the train, I'm lying there, and very quickly, everyone on the subway, and this is still rush hour, mind you.
Right.
Because like I was getting to work early in the morning, so it's still rush hour.
Yeah.
Very quickly, everyone on the train's like, oh my God. Oh my God. And they just like force themselves through the door. They're just like cramming.
Like Moses, you could
just see people like against the windows, like face smushed because it was just better to be crushed than being there. And every stop on my way home, just the doors would open, a crowd of people would walk and go, and just turn around and get off. I'm just lying there and I just don't care because I think I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And like the doors open, again and again and again. And just like a crowd rushes on, stops like they've been punched in the face, turns around and runs away.
You ruined hundreds of people's mornings.
I was that guy. I was that guy for a day. I just like understood in that moment that sometimes the horrible smelling homeless person on the subway is just a guy with food poisoning who's indignant and wants to prove to his boss he's not faking it. It was like the hardest day of work I ever did at Troma.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Well, so after you shat yourself, did you go to a bathroom to clean up at all, or did you just go?
Where? I'm in Long Island City, Queens.
I don't know.
There's like what place was I gonna walk into smelling like I smell and be like, excuse me, sir, may I use your restroom, please? And they were gonna be like, sure, young man, go right ahead.
I don't know that.
I mean, it's the worst. It's like, I guess there have been days that have been like more emotionally rough than that day. Sure. But just it was the physically worst day of my life.
Yes.
Like just as far as physical pain, physical discomfort, personal hell, there is just no day in my life that was worse than that.
God. Man, that sounds, I mean, that's just brutal.
I got home.
Yeah.
I got home like in the hallway of my apartment building where like just the dumpster was. I just took off all my clothes and just threw them down the trash chute. Went inside, immediately showered, and just face plowed into my bed, getting up sporadically to puke and shit more throughout the day.
Oh, man. That is... you know what? I commend you for actually going in, though. Making it clear that you could not work that day.
No, it's the wrong thing to commend me for. You just cannot send this message to people that it's like at all worth what I did.
Oh, no, it wasn't worth it.
Just call in sick. I would have rather been fired. I was eventually fired like a few weeks later.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like put myself through that to no end.
For no reason.
To no end.
Yeah. What'd you get fired for?
I was like, it was more like we agreed that I should stop working there together.
It was like a mutual breakup?
It was like a mutual breakup. Lloyd called me in his office. He's like, you don't like being here. And I'm like, no.
No.
Because, like, you know, there was, I did do a lot of stuff that I feel like he was very happy about.
Sure.
I was, like, very helpful.
Yeah.
I, like, ran their Trauma Dance Film Festival. So like Lloyd liked me, but it just got very clear that like I didn't want to be there anymore. There was like, I remember this one day where I had been working till like 3 and I hadn't had lunch yet.
Yeah.
And I knew that and it was like Memorial Day or something.
Yeah.
And I knew that this guy was coming to meet with Lloyd because Lloyd would just meet with anyone who wanted to meet with him.
Sure.
At like 4 o'clock. And I'm like, all right, here's my window to go run out and grab lunch real quick and come back. So I ran out, went to Palace Fried Chicken again. No, I'm kidding. I'm like, let's roll the dice on this one more. Got lunch, came back, and the guy had shown up like 45 minutes early and was like sitting in there. And Lloyd called me up to his desk, like in front of the guy. And he was like, let me ask you a question, Josh. Do you think Harvey Weinstein has to answer the door for people coming to meet with him at his office? And I go, I don't think Harvey Weinstein's assistant's working for less than minimum wage in bumfuck Queens on a holiday. And he goes, okay. And I think that was the moment Lloyd was like, maybe we shouldn't work together
let's
anymore.
part ways. Yeah. Wow. Oh man. Well, speaking of,
but I love Lloyd. I love Lloyd. I think I learned so much being there. I feel like I'm a better low budget filmmaker. I believe in the ability to do things yourself.
Yeah, for the listener, describe trauma.
It's just like,
Do they make a lot of low budget stuff, right?
yeah, Lloyd would be so upset by like certain ways, like my initial reaction to how I wanted to express it. It's like Disney meets porn.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It's like super like trashy. Lloyd hates being called B-movie, but like The Toxic Avenger, Sergeant Kabuki Man, Tromeo and Juliet, Cannibal the Musical. It's like
B-movies.
It's like sort of like weird horror superhero with like girls with just like tits hanging out all over the place, lots of vomit and pew. Like, it really makes sense that I did shit my pants.
Sure.
It's like my story was like a B plot of a trauma movie, except I wasn't like murdered by some nuclear deformed monster at the end of it all. And he's also like not hiring crew. He's just like, who wants to volunteer and be on work on the next trauma movie? God. And then you get like 150 people show up, and as they like destroy things, you fire them until you have a normal sized crew of weirdos. Not weirdos, trauma fans. I'm a trauma weirdo. So
okay.
when I say weirdo with love,
you include yourself,
including myself.
Well, so that was an incident where you didn't use or find a toilet. From what you told me, there was another time where you did find a toilet.
This is like a great movie story. I warn you that the very, very end of it is a little disappointing, but everything leading up to the end is the perfect setup for like a great ending that I haven't come up with to fake about the end of the story. But this is all real. I've been tricked into going to Vegas. Like, completely tricked into going to Vegas.
How does that happen?
I had just started a new job. I'd moved to Los Angeles recently. Had just started a new job. Just gotten promoted. I'm working at the job. I get a call from my friend. He goes, Edelman, you got to come to Vegas tonight. I'm at this magic convention at this hotel. If you can get here, I got a hotel room you can stay at. I just had dinner with Banachek and Penn and Teller and the amazing Jonathan and like all these like heroes of mine. He's like, get out here. We'll go to shows. Like my friend's running the whole thing. And I'm like, this sounds amazing. I've been to magic conventions before and they're fucking awesome.
They're not a party.
My favorite thing about them is all these booths with all these like new tricks that haven't been like released yet that they're selling for like cheap to magicians, and you're seeing all these cool shows and discovering all these like awesome magicians you hadn't heard of before. I had been in LA for like a short time, hadn't been to Vegas yet. I mean, this whole thing sounded amazing to me. So I go up to my boss and I'm like, Pat, I know I just got promoted. I just got invited to this thing. Any way you'll let me use it was like Thursday. I'm like, any way you'll let me use my vacation day tomorrow so I can go to this thing. He's like, well, okay, fine. You can do it. Go ahead. I'm like, great. Thank you so much, Pat. I like buy a flight out to Vegas because my friend's going to drive me back the next day. I get there. I fly out. I get a cab. I like tell him the hotel name. I had never heard of the hotel before. I didn't know the Vegas hotels. And he's driving. And as he's driving, I can just like see like the Vegas that like I know.
The Strip.
And like excited the Strip. And it just seems to be getting further and further. I'm like, oh, this is like a weird way to get to the Strip. And he's like, I don't think this hotel's at the Strip. I'm like, okay,
all right, well,
whatever. Maybe there's good hotels that aren't on the Strip. So we just cheaper. Like get to this place in the middle of the fucking desert. I get out and like just everyone's like riding their electric wheelchair in their NASCAR shirt into this hotel. I get in the hotel. I meet up with my friend. I discover that it's not a magic convention, but a skeptics convention. And there just happen to be a bunch of magicians that are skeptics. Now, the idea of being a skeptic is that you don't believe in like higher beings or like you just don't believe in like God, like you're an atheist, but you don't believe in like telepathy and like all these like supernatural stuff. So like a lot of magicians do things where like they disprove that people who claim to be clairvoyants are not. So that's why all these magicians are there.
I am fascinated by the skeptics. I'm sorry, I'm killing your momentum here.
Yes.
This fascinates me. Just a group of like cynical people
a group
that just
of
talk about being cynical.
And getting there, I became a true skeptic of all these fucking weird ass skeptics.
Okay, we'll come back to
all
it.
These people going to a convention about not believing in things.
We'll come back to it.
I very passionately don't believe in anything.
This is fascinating to me.
I've always referred to myself as a hardcore agnostic, which I guess is a weird thing to call yourself. Like, don't you dare challenge my belief that a higher being may or may not exist.
My ambiguous beliefs.
Don't you dare challenge them.
Okay, so you realize this is where you are.
So I realize I'm at a skeptics convention. The magicians that had been there the night before all left.
Oh, good. Okay. So you're one connection.
The guy running the whole thing, who's this incredible magician and like historic guy named the Amazing Randy, which my friend was the assistant of, is like getting kind of sick, and like now my friend needs to deal with that. So like all the shows he was going to get us into are no longer happening. I'm like there for one night. I'm like, this is horrible.
Yes.
This is a nightmare. I've never been to Vegas before, and this is what you've dragged me to. I'm like, no, we need to go and at least get a place on the Strip for one night so that I could just like enjoy a day of Vegas. But I also like have no money because I'm just poor. Like perpetually. So like we find like the room we can afford is at the Luxor, which is like the Black Pyramid.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you find your way back to the Strip.
So
That's
it's
good.
like me, my friend, and this guy we met at the Skeptics convention who we called Sasquatch because he just looked like a big Sasquatch. we all go to the Luxor, and we're like, we don't want to gamble. We have no money for shows. We're like,
Right.
what should we do? And Sasquatch is like, well, I have some acid if you guys want to take acid. Now, I had never taken acid before, but I was intrigued about the idea of doing acid in Vegas.
Sure.
It felt like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Right.
But I'm also like very scared of the idea of hallucinogenics.
I was going to say, everyone says the first time you do acid, it should be in Vegas in the middle of all these people. No one ever says do it in a controlled environment with people you trust.
So I'm like to them, I go to them, I'm like, all right, guys, you have to promise that you won't leave me alone. Like, I just need to know that you guys will like make sure that like if I freak out, that I don't like jump out of a window and kill myself.
Yeah.
And they're like, we won't leave you alone, Edelman. We won't leave you. We got you. We got you.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's do this. So we all take a tab of acid. Funny little aside, like at one point my friend's like, and I got some antacid too, antacid too. And I'm like, great, that's like stuff that like cancels out the acid. They're like, no, you're just gonna get some stomach pains probably, and you can take a Tums. but the whole time I'm like, it's good, he's got some antacid just in case I freak out.
It'll balance out, everything will be back to normal.
Just totally not understanding what antacid was, just because I was so focused on the acid part of it.
No one has put more importance on Tums in their life. They're like, yeah, these things are gonna be amazing.
So the first thing we do is we're like the acid's kicking in.
Yeah.
We all go out to the pool, and to our surprise, there's nobody in the pool.
Is this day or night?
Daytime.
Okay.
There's like nobody at the pool. Like, I guess we're here in off hours. Like the three of us get in the pool. There's like these floaty things. My friend John's like lying on the floaty thing. I look at him and he's like, it's like heaven. And then right when he says that, this guy starts poking the floaty thing with a stick. Like, hey, you guys got to get out of the pool. This is a private pool. Public pool's over there. And we just like look over, and it's just the most disgustingly packed pool I've ever seen. Just like everyone's got tattoos, like smoking cigarettes in there.
Yeah.
You can't even like see the pool. It just looks green. And like we're like walking over there, and then I look back at the pyramid, and it's like the middle of summer, and like this heat's rising, and there's these two giant posters on the Black Pyramid of Carrot Top and Chris Angel. And I just remember thinking to myself, this isn't heaven.
This is not heaven.
Hell. And I'm like, this is like a party in hell.
Yeah.
This is the most possible fun that can be had in hell.
A packed pool watching Carrot Top.
A bunch of gross people, and like Carrot Top and Chris Angel are the only shows available. So we get out of the pool for a little bit. We get out of the pool. We go up to the room. I lie down we smoke a joint.
Sure.
Smoke a joint in the room.
Why not?
I lie down, and like right next to my head is like this hard, crusty vomit on my pillow. And I'm like, ugh. And I look at my friends, and I'm like, is this really here? Am I hallucinating? Is this really here? They're like, no, that's really there. I'm like, oh my God, I just lied down in that? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I take a picture of it, and tripping balls, I go down to the front desk because like my angry Jew is more powerful than any hallucinogen. And I'm like, look at what I just lied down in. I want something to be done about this.
You weren't sure what your demands were, but
Just
you
like
wanted
my
demands.
indignant white person went down to the front and was like, take care of
Yes.
me. And they do. They give us the top of the pyramid suite.
Wow.
Because I lied down in it. And like we get up there and we're all like, we did it. We fucking beat Vegas. We're like high-fiving. We're so excited.
Yeah.
There's like a jacuzzi in the room.
Wow.
My one friend John's like, I need to go back to the old room to go grab my stuff. And Sasquatch is like, do you mind if I take a shower real quick? And I'm feeling great.
Sure.
I feel like the acid's worn off. I remember when I was down in the lobby before I complained, I was looking at this like really cool like electric painting that they had. And I was like, man, this electric painting is just awesome. The next day I looked at it and it was felt. That's how hard I was tripping, but just like did not realize it, just thought I was good.
Right.
But it was just like a piece of, I said to someone, like, isn't this cool? They're like, yeah, I guess it's okay. It's a piece of felt. So I am in the room. I'm literally alone for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
When the phone rings.
Okay.
I answer the phone. It's the front desk. I answer the phone, which was my next mistake. It's the front desk. They're like, hi, Mr. Edelman. And I'm like, speaking. They're like, hi, how's the new room? The new room good? Like, oh, yeah, it's great. Thank you very much. Like, yeah, we sent somebody back to the old room to check out on your complaint. And we noticed a marijuana smell. Do you know anything about that? It was like... just like triple punching on my face. And I'm like, no, I don't know anything about that. They're like, well, this is a no smoking hotel. We're sorry about that. And like, but she said in this way that sounded like she was telling me, we know you're fucking smoking pot in there.
Yeah.
And I hang up the phone and I'm like, this is like pre-weed being legalized in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they know we have drugs. They're probably sending people right here. You don't fuck with Vegas. I just have like scenes from a casino in my head where they're like slamming my hand with a hammer. You think it's fucking funny to mess with us? Like gonna get thrown in jail. And I'm like, I gotta do something. So I go into Sasquatch's bag where he's got literally an ounce of weed that he had bought.
Oh no.
And I go into the bathroom and I pour it all into the toilet, flush the toilet clogs and starts overflowing, which is all the weed. And I'm like, Sasquatch comes out of the shower, sees me sitting there by the toilet with all the weed overflowing. He's like, what'd you do? And I'm like, they know. They're sending people. They know. I explained the situation to him.
Yeah.
He kind of agrees with what I did, but he's more like, you're just
paranoid.
Yeah,
the paranoia.
We call John, who's like still out of the room, and we're like, listen, John, no time to explain, but you need to leave the hotel and go and get a plunger. And he's like, what? I'm like, you need to leave the hotel, purchase a plunger, and bring it back. This is a matter of life and death.
And he's on the strip, so obviously plungers readily available.
John's like, okay, hangs up the phone, goes to the front desk, like, we need a plunger in our room. There's a knock at the door. I think it's John. I open it up. It's like, yeah, I'm here to plunge the toilet. I'm like, no. There's just weed overflowing. And I wish I had a great ending to this story.
Yeah.
But like, we get rid of the guy and we just keep trying to flush it, and just eventually it all flushes.
Oh,
And
okay.
That's the end. So a real letdown at the end. But I feel like the buildup is an incredible drug story.
Wow. I would say, well, okay, my first question is, where did the vomit come from? Did one of you vomit in the bed? Had you never been in the room before?
Just like the housekeeping, just like somebody had vomited and they just didn't realize it when they were putting the pillow together.
Okay, so you hadn't already been in the room.
We had not been in.
Okay. I was missing that. I was just like,
well, we had been in the room, but
you hadn't like laid down.
Yeah, we hadn't like laid down and.
Wow. Random vomit. Okay. All right. Secondly, I'd say it sounds like you handled the acid pretty well, all things considered. Minus a little bit of paranoia.
It was a great time.
Yeah.
I had a great time. Just that one moment. It's just so funny because the whole time I was like, don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to freak out. And I'm literally alone for like 20 seconds. And like, I just have a complete meltdown.
On the phone.
I wouldn't have had a meltdown had that call not come. I would have probably just been fine.
Yeah.
But just in the 20 seconds that they leave me alone, I just all hell broke loose.
Oh my God. It's funny. Like, I've yet to have a good Vegas experience myself, because the first time I went to Vegas, this was a number of years ago, and I was producing a play in Hollywood, and we did like 30 performances or something, and I was out in front of the Pantages Theater handing out flyers after a show, and I was truly like the one behind the scenes person on this whole production, and so I was dealing with like a lot of stress, obviously, but as a result of that, I was dealing with like a lot of vertigo problems and stuff. And thankfully, they haven't happened since. But a friend of mine who I'd reconnected with was like, "Hey, man!" Like he called me while I was handing out these flyers, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to come to Vegas with me. I'm getting married tonight, and I need you to be my best man." And I was like, "Oh God." Yeah, I guess. And so we drove, and I tried to sleep in the car. I hadn't slept in like 36 hours because of this play. So I tried to sleep in the car I noticed that the vertigo was starting to kick in a little bit, and I was just like, okay, I just need to like try and sleep this off, not make a big deal about it. So I dealt with that. We got to Vegas at we left at midnight. So we got there at like 4 a.m. And the first thing we did was to go to Denny's, and I promptly went into the bathroom, vomited, came back out, didn't eat any food. We then went to the hotel where I vomited, again with all the vertigo, passed out. They went and got married while I was sleeping. They had somebody at the place be the, best man / witness. I wake up feeling marginally better. They wake me up. I wake up when they come in, having been married now, and they're happy and jumping with joy and all this stuff. They're like, all right, time to go. And they'd been up all night. So then I had to drive all of us back while they slept. And
that is a nightmare.
That was my Vegas trip.
Sort of similarly, the last time I went to Vegas was for my friend's bachelor party.
Yeah.
And we'd all gotten there. We ate dinner. When our other friend who was coming to the bachelor party, just took him a little longer to get there.
Yeah.
Shows up. And I'll never forget the first thing he says when he walks in to meet us all is he goes, I had sworn off Vegas forever. And the only thing that could get me back here was your bachelor party, Dan. But we had all eaten dinner and he was starving. He was like, I just need to get something to eat.
Yeah.
So we stop at like this little burger stand. It was like outside on the strip in Vegas. Horrible food poisoning for the rest of the time there. Just spent spent the entire time in the hotel just like sleeping and puking. And I just love that the only thing he said is, I had sworn off Vegas forever.
Yeah.
And the only thing that can get me back.
Yeah. So he's already not happy to be there, and I'm sure he'll never go back now.
Never go back. Poor Chris.
God. Yeah. No, I haven't been back either. And I don't know that I will.
I feel like the strip in Vegas is like people that come to Los Angeles and hang out on Hollywood Boulevard.
Right. Yeah.
Which, to me, Hollywood Boulevard is just like taxi driver Times Square.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
it's just
totally.
Times Square from the 70s.
Yep. Yeah. I cannot look at it, and I'm just shocked that it's not a complete disappointment to everybody that goes.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I get it. The Chinese theater and the handprints is cool for like 15 minutes, but then after that, it's just like shitty stores, lots of congestion.
Overpriced bad restaurants.
Yeah. You know.
Do comedy shows sometimes at this place, Cabo Wabo.
Oh, I know that place.
I see just like conning people from the street to come watch like an open mic.
Yeah.
Come see a free comedy show. And then they get in there and it's like, buy our food and watch terrible comedians struggle with new material. Not terrible. They're just trying new material.
Right.
It's always awful to watch people working stuff out.
This is apropos of nothing other than the fact that the Cabo Cantina, right? That's what you're talking about?
Cabo Wabo.
Yeah. So this,
It is a fun show. It's a fun show. If anyone wants to go.
I once found a chair outside of that establishment. This was many years ago. Like 6, probably 7. And there was a girl who I had a crush on. I directed her in a thing. I was kind of just a director for hire. Didn't think anything else about it. Then she reached out to me, and we talked about her being on Average Joe or whatever. And then it was clear that there was like some mutual attraction. We went out a couple times, and the time where we went back to her apartment and, hooked up a couple times, and I stayed the night. She said in passing that she needed a new desk chair. And I just sort of stored that away. And so the next morning, we hook up again, and I'm like, oh, this is terrific. Clearly, we've got a future together. And so I texted her later that day. I was like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, going to the beach. I was like, cool, maybe I can come. And then just heard nothing. And then proceeded to like text her, probably 4 times that week. And to me, it's also true. To me, it was just like, hey, would love to hang out, or had a good time or something. Clearly, I was smothering and went too far. My expectations were not the same as hers. But I saw a chair in front of the Cabo, and it was street furniture. However, it was pretty solid street furniture. It was like a wooden desk chair that had some scratches in it. I Lysoled it. And then this is where perhaps I did
Cross
make the
the
mistake.
line.
Yeah. I just showed up at her place with this chair. And I didn't want to text her. I just wanted to surprise her. And so I knocked on the door and she wasn't there. And then it was like a to-do getting the chair out of my car to the door. I was like, well, I don't want to bring the chair back. And I also don't want to just leave it there and not get any credit for it. So I'll just wait. So then I waited.
Sitting there on the chair.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Yeah, in front of her door like a goddamn creep.
You brought a chair to wait for her.
Yeah, yeah.
She just showed up and just sees you.
Oh, wait.
You're like, you brought a chair to wait there all day.
So I waited for like 45 minutes. I was very lonely. I thought we had a nice time. She shows up and I see as soon as her eyes see mine, I'm just, oh, this was a mistake. Like that's what I said to myself. I was like, oh,
like the facade that you built just immediately.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, I thought I listened to her. I'm a good listener. I'm showing that, like I'm being attentive. I'm surprised women like gifts, I'm knocking this out of the park. Maybe she had some hesitations. But I'm going to win her over tonight. And then as soon as I saw her face, it was, oh, God. And then I just started stammering because I realized I got to get out of it. So I was like, well, you said you needed a chair. So I brought you a chair. And she was just like, where did you find this chair? And then I didn't know what to say. So I just said, I found it. And I didn't elaborate on where, which made it even weirder. Because then it's like Jaws, If you don't, the longer you don't see the shark, the worse it is in your head. Oh. So the fact that I gave her no details, she's like, "Where the fuck did this chair come from?" I'm like, but it's I Lysoled it down, so you're good to go. So and then she was just like, "Listen, listen, I thought the vague or no text responses from me made it clear, but." I will now make it as clear as possible. Please leave and never come back. Also, get rid of that chair. And then I said, well, all right, then.
That's a bad time worst story.
Yeah.
I'd say that story defeats all of mine for bad time, good story. I don't even know if it's a good. It's a rough one. It's the roughest.
Yeah.
Because at least my Facebook mortification was an accident.
Sure.
Or or maybe in her mind a plea.
Right.
Come back. For a romance that once was.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this was never a romance. And I misread every single sign.
You're borderline her Me Too story.
Oh God, I think so.
You definitely weren't. You didn't cross.
No,
that.
I know. Yeah, but
you came
borderline.
close.
Yeah, I did. And thankfully, well, who knows? I don't know her express. Yeah, no, I'm definitely her borderline Me Too story. God damn it. Well. Boy, that's a hell of a place to end an episode. I've learned since then, so there is the positive outcome where I don't surprise people.
It's the things we do for genuine, sincere, hope, in hopes of consensual love.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
We're just trying to figure this. A lot of us are just trying to figure this shit out.
Exactly.
Over the course of time.
Yes.
And sometimes you see a chair on the street and you think, that girl wanted a chair. Here's a great gift I can afford right now.
Exactly. I didn't have a lot of money.
I went through the work of Lysoling it down, stuffing it into my car it didn't fit in.
Right.
Driving it to her place, waiting. This was an act of love.
Yes. Exactly.
You're an act of like.
Yes.
An act of, look what you get with Joe. You get someone who listens and cares and wants you to have the nicer things in life and finds a way to make it happen.
Yes.
But to her, it was like, ah!
Understandably so. To her, you go ahead.
Who is this eventual murderer?
Who brought me street furniture? unannounced, and God knows how long I've been waiting, from her point of view.
The harder we try, the worse we make it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when I finally learned because I always am annoyed when people are like, oh, you just got to not give a shit. And then I understand it's like, oh, this isn't like a front to pretend like you don't care. It's just like, just play it slow. Don't show them your cards on the second date that wasn't a date.
I always joke about how much work we put in when they're not around to look like we don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like fucking scouring Yelp reviews of like first date places.
Oh, yeah.
You can be like, oh, I think maybe we meet up at this place.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard it's cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for coming over.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.
Absolutely. And I did want to make sure. So you have a documentary that is wrapped. What's the deal with it?
Documentary is done.
Yeah.
We've been entering it into festivals, looking for what our distributor is going to be. It's called Mentally Al.
Okay.
It's about legendary underground cult comedian Al Lubell. If you haven't heard of him, he's the funniest comedian you've never heard of. He's an absolute genius. I like to refer to him as like the platonic form of a comedian, just like the truest comic in the world. People like Judd Apatow, Sarah Silverman, Kevin Nealon, Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle will all tell you like Al's like a genius. He won Star Search in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
He's a real legend.
Yeah.
And he's a super unique, incredibly relatable story, like Hollywood story. Check out my documentary when it comes out. Keep an eye out for it. Mentally Al. Also just look up Al Lubell because he's a brilliant comedian. And if you ever hear he's playing somewhere, it's one of the most unique, brilliant acts in the world, and highly recommend. See, he's in England right now for all the British listeners of Average Joe's Bad Times, Good Stories.
Yes.
But
we have a contingent in the UK, so.
You could also check out my, still existing web series, Best Friends web series on YouTube.
Okay.
It's still there.
Great.
Trying to collect, trying to get into like the thousands of views instead of the hundreds of views.
Sure. Yes.
Sometimes I feel like my web series is like the Heaven's Gate of web series. Like the amount of money I put into it compared to the views is just the biggest bomb in YouTube history. That's not true, but feels like it.
Well, for what it's worth, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
It's a well-made thing. It's funny. I liked it a lot.
I had like these delusions, like, well, we get 100,000 views an episode, then someone starts paying us to like advertise on it.
Of course.
And then if you just like took out the 1,000 part of that statement,
that's what's happening. Hundreds.
more accurate to my 4 years of hard work.
Well, and for what it's worth, you could replace thousands with millions on Average Joe, and we still didn't get those things that you were after. So don't feel bad. It doesn't matter. It's a complete crapshoot. And, the views don't even, whatever. I'm not bitter.
And just check me out if you ever hear that I'm doing stand-up somewhere.
Yeah, where can people follow you on social media?
At the Edelmeister.
The Edelmeister. All right.
Edelmeister. I'm on Facebook as Josh Edelman, but I don't really do Facebook anymore.
Who does? It's all about the IG.
At the Edelmeister on Instagram and Twitter. TheEdelmeister.
Rolls right off the tongue. There it is. For listeners and viewers, link to his Instagram and Twitter will be in the description.
Lots of great complaints about the gym.
About the gym?
Yeah.
Great.
Most of my Twitter feed is just me complaining about how I hate going to the gym.
Terrific. Yeah. So if you aren't going to the gym and want to feel good about not going to the gym, check out Josh's Twitter. And then there'll be reasons why you shouldn't go. Right. Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
That's the episode. Thank you so much to Josh for coming over and chatting, and hopefully you enjoyed his stories. I really wanted to talk more about the Cynics convention. It fascinates me. I'm going to look into this. I love the idea of a bunch of people who are just cynical about things gathering to talk about it. I don't know. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I did. If you did, write that review. Give us those 5 stars on iTunes. If you didn't, do it anyway. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Visit badtimesgoodstoriespod.com. Email me at badtimesgoodstoriespodcast@gmail.com. And until next Wednesday, keep laughing.